And it isn't working because they're not addressing the core problems going on in Canada. Record immigration and record price declines. This is what the real estate industry refuses to tell you. So let's get right into this, see what's going on. Canada's record population growth needed expects stress and inflation, according to BMO. Canada continues to outperform its peers for population growth. Statistics Canada data shows record population growth in 2022. Okay, and what happened to housing prices in 2022, guys? Let me show you. Oh yeah, they're down nearly 20%. Not only that, it's a record decline in home prices that we've seen, whilst immigration has surged. So what that's basically shown you is it has completely thrown this immigration argument for the housing market completely out the window. I mean, you have to realize that the people who are coming to Canada are not coming with bags of money. I mean, some of them no doubt are, and as you push up the numbers, you are pushing up the numbers of those people that are coming with money as well as the ones without money. So that's just the case of what happens. But what is very, very interesting is they're generally getting paid 30% less than Canadians, and they're generally more reliant on things like affordable housing, and that is what is stretching all this stuff even more. And you know, this is really bad because Canada is not putting any preparations in place to receive this many immigrants. I mean, it's a total disaster. It's a recipe for disaster, as you know if you've been following this channel, and we'll get into some more stuff on how people are just sick of the place and want to leave as well because it's just turning into that disaster. So you can see on that chart how immigration just exploded in 2022 to a record high with record housing price declines. And again, you know, if these people were bringing loads of money, then you would actually see that mortgage debt that would flatten out and it would start to come down, wouldn't it? In actual fact, we've just had mortgage debt go up and up and up and up throughout the past 5-6 years since Trudeau's been in charge, and he's been pushing the gas down to the floor on immigration policies. And I think really it's just part of a greater plan to import voters. I mean, these politicians are narcissists. They don't care about the country. Look at the demographics of the people coming here, and then it's quite obvious to realize which way they're going to vote. You can work it out. I mean, look at the biggest immigration cities and which way they normally vote. Just tells you everything you need to know. Temporary immigration is driving Canada's population growth. Canada's race to be the fastest growing G7 country depends entirely on immigration. Natural growth, births minus deaths, accounted for just 6,263 people in the final quarter. Net international migration represented the remaining 267,000 people for the quarter. So it's obvious that Canada needs immigration, but why is the birth rate so low? Let's address that point. The reality is, it's because Canada is in a cost of living crisis. They have sold out their own population for this immigration lie, which is coming to fruition to create a massive, massive cost of living crisis because there has been no preparation for this. And I'm an immigrant myself, so I'm pro-immigration in a way, but I'm also against immigration when there's no preparation for it, when people who are coming are believing a totally different idea to what they're being served up when they get here, and when you're just artificially inflating an immigration bubble now on top of all the other bubbles. I mean, it just drives me absolutely mad that these politicians are just that stupid, and they really are. I mean, I'm just being brutal. It just makes my blood boil. Anyways, let's carry on reading here. So yeah, it's kind of insane. And then I wanted to show you this because this kind of shows you. So this is the G20, and you can see Canada ranks right near the bottom. You've got Canada, Germany, China, Italy, Japan, South Korea, who are lowest for the birth rate on that list. Oh, look at Mexico. Mexico, number 5. And I'm not surprised because people, they're generally happier there. If you've actually been to Mexico, in lots of areas, I mean, it's not like that blanket across the country, but neither is it in Canada. Mexico has its problems just like Canada. But I'm just saying, in terms of a cost of living crisis, Canada takes the crown over Mexico for that. So why would you want to bring kids into a world where you can barely even afford to take care of yourself? And that is the reality for so so many Canadians, and just importing more people does not fix that problem. It's just like putting a band-aid on it, and it makes it even worse when you're selling them a lie, which is what's happening because most of them are planning to leave, like it's saying right here. And this is the reality, guys. Canada is scaring away its new immigrants. Let's see what they're saying here. So a March Ledger survey commissioned by the Institute for Canadian Citizenship found that more than 1/5 of recent immigrants were already making plans to leave. Among under 34 immigrants in particular, 30% said they were likely to leave Canada within the next 2 years. So obviously the immigration program is a complete disaster and is just wasting millions, if not billions, of taxpayer dollars and resources tied up in this, and it isn't working because they're not addressing the core problems going on in Canada. The fact that you have essentially this real estate Ponzi economy, and they're not addressing any of the cost of living issues that are happening because of the crony capitalist society that has been created through decades and decades of corrupt politicians. I've seen the same thing in England. You end up with is just a country which is essentially constantly in a depression, and that is what Canada is going to get to. I mean, it's so sad where England is right now, my home country, and that's where Canada's heading. And immigration was a big thing for England for decades and decades. They were pumping the immigration. Did it work? No, it was a total train wreck and a total disaster in the end, and it will be the same for Canada because it's no different of a pattern of human emotion that goes on, and these politicians, they all operate in the same way. We all know that. But again, 30% likely to leave in the next 2 years. And you have to remember those under age 34, that should say, it's not phrased very well. But when you think about them, those are the ones that are going to struggle to afford housing and all the rest of it. They're not going to have the large amount of savings behind them. So if you look at why people are saying, number one, high cost of living / expensive. That is the main reason why people are saying that they're going to leave. So that's a big problem. Foreign work experience not recognized. That's another problem. That's just due to the massively bureaucratic immigration system that we have. I mean, even though I'm trained as an engineer in the UK, to do engineering here, I'd have to do all kinds of different things. It's just a total disaster. It just goes to show the rigmarole that people have to go through, and it's the same for doctors, nurses, dentists, all these different things that Canada needs. There's just so much red tape around them. Difficulty finding a job, lack of employment opportunities. What? I thought Canada was booming. Lots of jobs, booming economy. Again, it's just all a complete facade, I think. And then the other ones, we won't get onto that, but you've got housing / rent costs. You've got complicated immigration process, poor healthcare system. That is really interesting because as an immigrant, healthcare is top of your priorities when you move to a country. You know, when we came in 2013, Canada was just a totally different country to country it is today. It shocks me how much the country has changed over the course of which I've known it, which is 10 years, and how it's just got progressively worse and worse. And we definitely saw the acceleration of it getting worse when Justin Trudeau got in charge and when monetary policy really took a turn for the worst in 2015, 2016. So you can see that there are major problems, and then Minister says Canada needs more immigration as targets get mixed reviews from Canadians. So, you know, Canadians, and I've seen this too, Canadians are starting to wake up to the fact that this immigration is not working. But the fact is, so many people are imported, and the way the voting is now going to work, who knows whether this is going to come across. I don't even think it matters who gets in charge, which party, whether it's Conservatives or Liberals. You're still going to have a terrible government at the end of the day. You know, I don't want to get into the politics of different things. They are much of the same. I expect disappointment when it comes to politicians, so that's nothing new there. So it's kind of crazy what's happening with immigration, I think we really have to keep an eye on this. I think they're shooting themselves in the foot and stabbing themselves in the back, because ultimately just driving this immigration, driving more inflation, what's that going to do? It's going to essentially send the economy into a vicious circle. And that's exactly what we're getting into. And it's going to create essentially a depression for Canada. And then nobody's going to want to come here. And by then already, people will have been sick of the immigration narrative and will have voted it out. I think we'll see that over the next sort of 5 to 10 years as well. Immigration the targets will come way down. People won't want so many immigrants, because the situation is the process has just been handled and mismanaged so poorly, so much resources spent on it, so much money wasted. Anyway, that's an immigrant's perspective, by the way. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you might like 2 of these videos here, and I will see you in the next one. I'm honored to have you as a viewer, and I'll chat with you in the comments. Take care.